guys. Hello. Welcome back. All right, guys. So this is going to be a special message for the fact that we have got the full moon coming up August 1st. It's the first of two full moons in August, and they both happen to be super moons, which is super exciting. This one is known as the Sturgeon Moon because it was once upon a time the Native tribes, Native American indigenous populations, I should say, they have always historically known that was a time to go and catch the giant sturgeon that were in the Great Lakes in particular. They can be as large as a Volkswagen. They can live 150 years, and they are considered living fossils because they can be traced back like 135 million years if you read about this on the Old Farmer's Almanac. So with that in mind, what I will say is I've already actually done a video where I did a card for every single zodiac sign, and you're not going to want to miss that video because I also announced that I'm doing a giveaway in that one. So don't miss that. I'll put the free link to that video right here in the description box, and I'll also make it so it'll pop up on your screen at the end of this video. But let's jump on into this. This is going to be a more expanded storyline. We're going to see from a different perspective here. I want to take a look at that concept of the fossilization and the connection to a living fossil. That's kind of what I want to look at for this full moon, which is a different spin on it from what I did in the other video. Okay, so this is why I'm doing two different styles. Looking at basically how is the past impacting the present from this perception in this moment during this full moon, right? So we've got rain. There is still possibly something that is coming to the surface right now where somebody realizes I'm experiencing tears or stormy emotions because of something from a long time ago. And maybe that is coloring the way I see my life right now. This is the awareness. Now, we could also say, though, that rain is a good thing because it refreshes. Obviously, we need rain. The earth needs rain. We need it. Its precipitation doesn't always have to be looked at as a negative, right? This could be rain that's washing us clean. This could be somebody's having a good cry during this full moon because it's actually releasing all kinds of pent-up things, but it would be a cry over something from the past. That's the way I would say this. So we could have a person who's got like a form of catharsis. It's these tears that are flowing, they feel like a release. Even if it was sorrow that I was expelling, it feels, look at this, miracles, ancient wisdom. By the way, that first card was card 35. This is card 39. Very strong, like spiritual character that we're describing, or a very strong sense of spirituality. This says that, and maybe this is tears of relief because something wonderful is happening during this full moon. Maybe this is the fact that it's ancient wisdom and the fact that we're talking about, the sturgeon as like a connection to the ancient past. This could be someone is reflecting differently now, and they're saying the ancient history that I went through, the past experiences that I had, I'm realizing, maybe it's a miracle that I came through those situations because it was a really difficult phase for me. But I'm also aware and mindful of the fact that it was a miracle because it helped shape something in my life as well. Let's get a couple more cards out here. We've got the moon. Is that even a surprise? But in this case, you notice how the moon has been eroded away. The moon can represent mystery, things that need to be illuminated. And I would say somebody's having a major breakthrough. They're having a cathartic cry. They're having a sense of awareness that miracles have actually occurred for them. Maybe it's a miracle that they are able to have all kinds of confusion suddenly become clear. This could be confusion. You notice how it's actually these individuals, these men in suits are coming and they're actually like collecting all the rocks that are falling from the moon. And what is being revealed is some doves. We're finding a sense of peace. Somebody's having a breakthrough about something that previously was hidden from view. This is a secret being revealed. This is, we got a 6 of Cups and we got the 6 of Wands. All right, I'm going to say that it was an interaction between two people, only because 6 is a number of balance. 6 of Cups in particular talks about, I think that somebody dealt with an individual, a soulmate most likely, who their life may have actually gone through a crash landing. And it was a narrow miss. You notice we've got a piano falling from the sky, like in the old cartoons, like you gotta sidestep so the piano doesn't fall and, you know, splat on the cartoon character. We've also got kind of like a rock / buzzard creature that's diving down. You know, buzzards are, they're carrion eaters, right? They come along to scavenge. I feel like even if our character had dealt with somebody that was a soulmate, what they may be discovering is that soulmate was crashing and burning when they met them. Doesn't mean that the love couldn't have been there. Doesn't mean that the connection couldn't have been real. Doesn't mean that they weren't someone that they, you know, I really identify with this person. They are someone super important to me. That can all be true. And still, it can also be true that their life was collapsing in that moment. And if our character had been too closely interwoven into that person's life, they could have been buried under the rubble of whatever upheaval was happening in this person's life. We've got this Six of Wands that is sideways because what our character doesn't realize, because they're only just now able to see things with a different set of eyes. You notice this is like she's taking off her glasses, which are actually her eyeballs, and now her eyes are closed and she's actually having more understanding. This is all, it wasn't something that our character was told by the person that they were dealing with. Their soulmate didn't explain this to them, but intuitively, they do understand why something was very chaotic and very doomed. And I only say doomed because it was a temporary amount of doom. They met someone at exactly the wrong moment, but it was a soulmate, but their life was collapsing. They couldn't see it. It wasn't explained, which is why the moon is there. But intuitively, it's all clicking. It's all making sense. Oh my God, that's why this person was, they were barely holding on by a thread. Maybe their job had gone belly up. Maybe they had all kinds of conflict and drama in their private life, things that they did not express to our character. They wanted to salvage some moment of happiness. So they crashed into our lead character's life and they had a few brief moments of, you know, wonderful interaction, because it was like, it was sustaining them during a very difficult moment where their life was otherwise in total chaos and was collapsing around their ears. I think that our lead character is becoming like totally enlightened to that. Like, oh my God, I was actually protected from being squished by their falling apart life, but they interacted with me without telling me that they were in the midst of this. Maybe they themselves weren't 100% aware that that's what was going on. I'm kind of thinking that they were aware of it, because I think that they were grasping onto our lead character for a moment of sustenance, a moment of joy, a moment of happiness in the midst of what was collapsing around them. What is unfortunate is that they didn't explain this to our lead character, like, my life is a disaster right now. Maybe they did. Maybe they gave clues, because that Six of Wands is sideways and she's taking off those glasses and closing her eyes. There was enough context clues for our character to recognize this. But right now, during this full moon, our lead character, it's all falling into place. Like they're getting the full on sense of awareness, and they're like, oh my God, it totally makes sense now. That person, that soulmate of mine, things were burning down around their ears. And I did know that. I saw the signs and signals of it. And it is purely a miracle that I was protected from being buried in the rubble. We've got a 10 of Wands. This knowledge of like divine protection is something that is allowing them to lay down some significant burdens. I think our character had felt really heavy about this, really maybe heartbroken about this. Maybe they really had carried a lot of grief around whatever had happened. And they're finally seeing it in a different light. They're saying, oh, wait a minute. Hi, be yourself again. How are you, sweetheart? Good to see you. This is one of those situations where our character is, they're feeling so much lighter. Not because it's like, oh wow, my soulmate, they had a horrible experience and boy, I'm sure glad that I wasn't caught up in that. No, I think it was more like the awareness that was going on. That's why things didn't move smoothly with myself and this soulmate, even if there was a desire to, or there was an intention to. There were other things at work here, and I was actually being protected, especially if I wasn't able to have success with them. It was because I was being moved out of harm's way, so the piano didn't land on my head. Wow, this makes a lot more sense. So this person didn't set out to try to harm me. This person didn't set out to try to, look at this. We got a 2 of Wands. You notice how we've got like a big old chess game going on. And I feel like someone thought for a while I was just a pawn in their game. Look at the change in perception now. What they're realizing is we've got this like very weary, straggly, busted up traveler, head hanging low, and they are trudging up from like the bottom of the ocean and coming back onto this chessboard. The truth of it is our character's mind was more like a chess game. They were trying to figure things out. What was the game that I was a part of? Turns out they weren't a part of any game. It was that the character, the soulmate that they were dealing with, literally did not know what to do. They were possibly embarrassed or ashamed of whatever had been going on in their own life. This person, this person may not have known where they were going to sleep the next night. This person was in some kind of significant chaos. They were trying very hard to give birth to a new life for themselves with that egg, but even that is cracked and broken. I just think that they met our lead character in a time of great transition, turmoil, and uncertainty, and their uncertainty definitely came across. They might have also felt responsible. Do you see that there's a little baby chess piece down here, one of the pawns? And I'm wondering if they didn't know, how do I do right by everyone in the situation when I don't have answers? They were propped up. This person didn't even have arms. What they had was these like sticks to help prop up the burdens on their shoulders, which is kind of like a bedroll, like an old cowboy western bedroll. They also have a strange like aviator's old-fashioned hat on, or even like a swimmer's cap. So I don't know if somebody was a swimmer or somebody, was a pilot or something, but they didn't have the ability to even reach out with their own hands and make things happen. Whatever was going on in their life was well beyond their control, and the uncertainty of their life was like magnified beyond belief. And who got caught in the crossfire was our lead character. They ended up feeling like, and I'm going to say that this lead character was probably a queen, on the chessboard. This was a high value person to them. Our lead character was high value, and yet you look at how she's pulled back and she's kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't trust you. I don't get what you're doing. You're inconsistent. Well, their whole life was inconsistent. It wasn't just them. Their whole life was inconsistent. So our lead character became equally as inconsistent, not knowing how to view this person, not knowing who they really were. All this is kind of coming to light, and I think it is with a huge, look at this, 9 of Wands. There's a lot of reflection going on here. Memories have been stretched thin. Things that happened a long time ago are actually coming to the surface, and it's making more sense now. I almost feel like our character is remembering that ancient history, and there are certain moments where they're like, wait a second, that person did try to tell me that their life was a mess. I remember when they said this weird kind of cryptic thing, but they were trying to explain it to me. There might have been 3 major moments where our lead character, when they think back now, they go, that's what was going on. Why didn't I see it before? Because I think at the time it was just too murky. It was too confusing. Now they get a clearer picture of what had happened in the past. So why is our character kind of reliving this? I mean, obviously it's bringing them a huge sense of peace. They're gaining greater understanding. We got a Queen of Swords, we got a 9 of Swords. Definitely gaining greater understanding and sense of peace as they reflect. This is somebody very much lost in old memories during this full moon, but old memories that are being basically wiped clean. The stress surrounded by, these old memories is actually being addressed for the first time, because I think our character had harbored a lot of stress for a long time, and they're finally putting their thoughts in order. They're seeing it more clearly, and they're recognizing that's what was going on. Okay, so as they become calmer. Their thoughts are more cleaned up about this. They're able to recognize why things went the way they went. What does that mean moving forward? Because to me, it's like, that's wonderful. We've had all these breakthroughs, but where does that leave us at this point? I see that our character can take a deep breath. They're able to relax. They're able to see the situation differently now. 5 of Wands, 10 of Wands. They've reached a point where now that they've seen it in a different perspective, they are assimilating that information. They're asking themselves, what did I learn out of this? And they are moving forward with a huge burden off their shoulders. It does not mean that soulmate, because the soulmate tends to return, as we saw already with the 6 of Cups. They will be ready to communicate with that soulmate in a whole different energy, because they don't carry, look at this, over time, the soulmate's not coming back in right now in this story, but eventually they are. With the 7 of Coins, there's been an energetic shift for our lead character. They're seeing a situation differently. They are aware of things that they didn't see before. It's taking all the burden off. They're assimilating that information, and they're saying, I can now move forward without a sour taste in my mouth in regards to that soulmate. If and when they wind up getting their act together, having things, get balanced, there will be an opportunity possibly for us to communicate openly and honestly. Now, we still have a King of Swords in the reverse, so this could have been a matched pair. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, we have a King and a Queen of Swords, but this is all about, I have, my mindset has shifted. The negative impact that whole relationship used to have on me, the way I viewed them, the negative memories I had of them, that's all cleaned up for me. I've let it go. And as this person maybe grows and changes, we don't know who they're going to become. We got that Knight of Swords, or excuse me, the King of Swords in the reverse. You know what? This is a very tethered storytelling where our lead character, no longer harboring negative emotions about the situation or negative ideas about that person, is actually allowing them to heal from, because I think they had a really crappy opinion of themselves as well. Maybe they hated the way their life had gone. They hated who they had become. They hated how they had interacted with this queen. There was maybe some self-loathing going on. And as she releases stress and upset that she had directed at them, they themselves are able to start healing whatever self-loathing they felt. This is almost like, you know what? The vibes are just good for everybody to release things, to see things in a different way. I know it would have been a much easier storyline if they had simply communicated in the beginning. The only thing is, what we saw is that somehow along the line, this queen did get some of the pieces of information, but didn't process it until now. Looking back, hindsight's 2020. Look at this, 9 of Wands. This whole drama is almost wrapped up. They're almost at a point with the 9 of Wands, with that finish line ahead. This has been a journey. This has been a journey of healing, of forgiveness, of understanding that life is not quite as simple and cut and dry as we'd like it to be, that we can harbor hard emotions for people, and then we can kind of eventually see it in a different perspective and release those hard feelings. And that allows so much more energy to flow that's positive and healing and refreshing. And that is helping this very painful journey of restoring one's life and one's, belief in oneself. I mean, this king was never going to come forward while they were in this self-loathing and they thought that queen loathed them. All that had to be let go of. And I think that awareness is happening during the supermoon in this storyline. And it is allowing for a major change. It's allowing for possibly a new beginning for them to finally open up and communicate. And it's all because truly there's been a bitterness or a hurt energy that has just completely been dismantled and dissolved. And with that, 10 of Swords, this might just be a wonderful conversation of closure for them that they can finally have, or this can be the end to all the pain and all the hard feelings. Whatever this is, they've got a chance. King of Coins, now they've got a chance to really connect. They've got a chance here to actually sit down and have meaningful dialogue and connection and giving and receiving of energy, specifically on that king's side. because they're no longer being loathed and they no longer loathe themselves for what had gone wrong in the past. All right, guys, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. As I always say, I'm a fictional storyteller. If you do enjoy my fictional stories, if they're thought-provoking and fun, awesome. Please give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye.